Welcome everyone to the very first episode of the Sip and Spill podcast. Woo! We are your hosts. I'm Anna.
And I'm Nikki.
And every week we are going to be coming to you guys doing really our favorite thing to do, and that's sipping on a good drink, talking about life, love, pop culture, work, all that good stuff. And we are inviting you guys to the conversation. So find us every week wherever you get your podcast. That's going to be Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, really wherever you listen to your favorite shows. Before we get into the episode of the day, though, thought we would give you all a little bit of background on ourselves. So not only do we like to sip on a good drink at home, we've also got a little bit of experience in the alcohol industry ourselves. I'm a full-time publicist working with a number of Bev Alc brands, anything from wine to spirits to beer, you name it. I've probably touched it. Nikki, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background in alcohol?
I'm actually a bartender. So I bartend some galas, weddings, all private events, which is really fun. And today we are sipping on a cocktail that I crafted. So this is your twist on the classic Aperol Spritz, but we have a little bit of a fall flair to it with our apple cider. So it's your classic Aperol Spritz, but we added some apple cider. We have some chopped up apples in here, orange, and we're good to go. So
yes,
cheers.
Cheers. Love it. That is delicious. That is definitely the perfect fall drink. I'm a big Aperol Spritz drinker myself. And I love the apple cider in that. It's delicious. So we are going to have every cocktail that we share each week up on the video here. But if you are not watching, if you're listening to audio only, you can also find them on our Instagram at the Sip and Spill Pod. So be sure to follow us. You can get our recipes every week.
Yes.
All right. So with that, I think we will get into our topic of the week, and that is going to be dating apps. So I think a lot of us can agree that in this day and age, dating apps are really the only way to meet people nowadays. You know, you can try going out, you can try meeting people in person or through friends, but sometimes all you really need to do is swipe and kind of hope for the best.
Emphasis on hope for the best.
Emphasis on hope for the best.
hoping for the best.
I think we can, agree that there are some pros and cons of dating apps. At least for me, when I was on dating apps, again, it's as kind of a naturally introverted person, it is a really good way to meet people without having to kind of pluck up the courage to see somebody in person and say, oh, I'm going to go up to them, say hi, talk to them, kind of have a little bit more bravery behind the screen. But Nikki, what do you think are some of the pros and cons of dating apps?
I honestly think that the pandemic really messed everything up for dating. I feel like it was much easier to meet people in person pre-pandemic. I think a lot of people just decided that maybe they developed a new way of life, that they don't go out as much or change their ways of, but yeah, pros and cons of dating. I think you never really know somebody until you know.
Yeah. It's hard to really get to know someone behind the screen too. Like you kind of do have to eventually go out on that date and eventually meet that person and see what they're like, because, texting someone can be so different from actually talking with them in person, hearing their voice, seeing what they really look like, if they look like their pictures, if they're catfishing you, whatever it is that's going on there. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It's really been tough since the pandemic started and we all kind of isolated ourselves for a good chunk of time and just kind of lost all our social skills. And I don't think a lot of us ever got that back when the pandemic ended.
Yeah. And I would say another pro is that you get to see the person's profile and see a glimpse into who they are. That's if they're actually truthful. Right. But I do look for passion. So if somebody is passionate about art or music, I do look to see what their passions are. I think that's really important. And yeah, you get to decide who you want to actually go on the date with. Rather in person, you might not know and you agree to a date and then you get to see what their interests are. So that's a
good point, because you could easily go out to a bar, meet somebody while you're out, and you only really know that person for maybe an hour, 2 hours max, and then you agree to go to a date with them, and then who knows what they're really like. People, I feel like, really don't show their true colors until much further on into getting to know somebody. But, at the very least, like you said, a dating app, you can talk to that person, maybe text back and forth with them for a few days before you actually decide, like, all right, I'll take them up on it. I'll go to dinner with them. I'll get a drink with them, and we'll see how they really are in person.
How long is too long to text somebody back and forth before actually going on a date? Or too short?
That's a great question.
Anna is an expert. Anna is the expert.
I am not the expert here. I guess it really depends on you as a person and what you really, if you are someone that likes to see a guy with kind of that perseverance and drive and that aggressiveness, who's going to say after, maybe a day or two of texting, like, wow, I really like this girl, or I want to get to know her in person. I want to get to, have conversations with her in person. I want to see what she's like, etc. And if you're feeling that too, and you're vibing with that guy, and you feel like you feel the same way, then go for it. But if you're someone who, like me, maybe is a little bit more careful with the people that, she lets around them, for me personally, I would used to wait a few days, at least, maybe even a week and a half sometimes, before actually going out with somebody on a date. Because you never know too. I feel like the first couple of days of talking to someone new is always exciting, no matter who it is. I feel like at least giving it maybe a 3 to 4 days or a week, kind of, you reach a point with most people where you can say, I'm learning about this guy over text, but I don't want to learn about him anymore in person. So like, we're gonna leave it where it is, and we're gonna keep on swiping. Or you might feel that connection after a few days, but you still might want to say, he seems great. Let me just give it a little bit more time. I'm not really ready to go on a date with him yet, etc. Again, really depends on who you are as a person, what you like, what you like to see in guys, or, any significant other you're searching for. But yeah, that's my take on it. I've been off of the dating apps for about 4 years now. So
yes, Anna, let's dive in.
Let's dive in. So
let's hear about your relationship.
Yeah, sure. So I have been in a relationship for a little over 4 years now with a wonderful guy. His name is John. And we have known each other for much longer than 4 years. I'll give the quick backstory, but John and I met when we were both in high school. We went to separate high schools, but we met at some college summer course. We were both just trying to get a couple extra credits before college started. And, we were very young. We were 16 and almost 17 at the time. We were each other's first boyfriend and girlfriend. So it was very, very innocent, very, high school relationship stuff. It was, nothing extremely complicated or anything like that. So we dated for about a year, and then, with anything, we kind of felt like it was time to go our separate ways. And again, we were very young, so we figured, let's separate, let's explore life as individuals. We're growing up, we're going to college, we're going to be meeting other people, etc. And then during COVID, and I should say we didn't have any contact after that for probably 7 years. And then during COVID, he actually had reached out to me. He reached out on Instagram. And from there, we just kind of started talking again and reconnecting and catching up. And eventually, we decided to kind of restart our relationship. And it's been great ever since. I mean, it's kind of interesting when you know somebody in one portion of your life and then you kind of reconnect and re-meet in a sense in another time of life. At the time we were, now in our mid-20s, we both had full-time jobs. We both had, experienced a lot of life separately, and we were kind of ready to start enjoying life together. And so that's what we're doing. We're on that journey still, of course. Never really ends, I feel like. Once you get in a relationship, you're always kind of going on that journey of life together when you choose that person. But yeah, so what's that to say? I haven't been on a dating app in over 4 years. So Nikki has a fun game for us today to kind of refresh my memory on dating and swiping right or left for that matter.
Yes. So this is our segment of swipe or sip. So we're going to show Anna some of her prospects on the dating app, and she is going to either swipe or sip. And Anna, I will join you in the sip.
Please do. I'm sipping already because I'm nervous.
Oh, yes. You should be. You should be. All right. So we're going to show our first bachelor.
And we will have these folks' pictures on the screen as well so you guys can see what I'm working with here.
Yes. So we have, he's an environmental advocate.
Oh.
Yacht enthusiast. Oscar winner.
Oh.
He loves spontaneous trips, but he does have an age limit. He just can't seem to break that 25-year ceiling. We are talking about the Leonardo DiCaprio.
So,
Anna, you're reaching the age limit.
I'm past the age limit.
Yeah.
I'm way past the age limit right now.
Well, I think he's dating. Is he dating I think he's dating a 26-year-old. So,
maybe
you're a little bit past.
Maybe I'm not too far past though for Leo to consider me.
Right.
I would swipe right on Leo.
All right.
mean, who wouldn't? Honestly, he's what?
He
50s
ages
now?
like fine wine.
He does indeed. I agree with you. So we'll swipe right.
This is going to be very controversial in today's times.
In today's climate.
Country singer with a heart full of poetry and a guitar. A bit of a wanderer, but ready to settle down, unless there's a new song to write. We're talking about Zach
No.
Bryan.
That's a big sip right here, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yes. All right. Sip. Okay.
I'm sorry. Never been a fan. Never will be a fan. We're swiping left.
Even on the music?
No.
No music?
Maybe one or two songs that I know from TikTok, and I'll only listen to them when they're on TikTok, but I will not, even on my Spotify, skip past them.
Okay, I respect.
Yep.
All right. Our next bachelor, he is 4 years old forever.
Oh, no.
Known for my bald and boundless curiosity. Fair warning, I could be a bit whiny when I don't get my way.
Oh, no.
We are talking about my childhood boyfriend.
Dead. Oh, not Caillou.
Caillou.
Oh, I feel bad swiping left because he's adorable, but...
Do you like bald men?
I did. It depends. It depends on, if they can make it work for them. Some bald guys can. They look great.
Are we sipping?
We're going to sip on Caillou. I'm sorry, Caillou. No offense. It just never made sense that a 4-year-old was bald.
All right. British charm with a passion for luxury, even if it's in the sewer. Former pet with a taste for the finer things. But I'm all about adventure now.
Ooh.
We have Roddy from Flushed Away. Come on.
Oh, I can't believe you dug this guy up out of the depths of my memory right now. Because I used to love that movie. That's a great suit. I would swipe right on him. He kind of looks like John a little bit. In the nicest way possible. John's a very attractive man.
Wow.
And he's giving me, not the face, but the hair. He's got the same hairstyle.
Suave, yeah.
Yeah, he's suave. He's suave.
Swipe right.
We'll swipe right on Rodney.
All right, next. I chose a good picture for this man.
You chose a lot of good folks.
This man has my heart, but I know how you're going to feel about this picture. Started from Degrassi, now we're here. Rapper, singer, and hopeless romantic. Your mom probably loves me.
Ooh.
I've got an emoji for every occasion. It is.
It is Drake. Nikki, I would swipe right, but for you, so that you get the chance to meet him.
Yes.
I would swipe right, talk to him a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe we're not feeling each other. And then I would say, listen, you seem great. I don't think we're vibing, but I got someone for you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And then you'll get your dream.
It's been my dream.
And I'm here to help you make that dream come true.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Love of my life, Drake. All right.
Love Degrassi. Great show.
Next. The original Jersey Shore cast member.
Oh, no.
Keto Diet King. Pro fist pumper. I'm here for GTL, but we'll make time for the right one.
Ooh.
We have The Vinny.
Vinny's a swipe right. He's a swipe right.
Yeah.
We actually just saw Vinny do his comedy set in New Brunswick a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and I gotta
Stress
say,
Factory.
He was funny. He was hysterical. I didn't think he was going to be that funny, truthfully, because you never know.
He's definitely shy. He's
definitely shy. He's introverted, and that's fine. Like, we're totally good with that. But I was pleasantly surprised at how funny he was. And we actually sat next to his mom, and she seems very sweet.
So sweet.
She was like cheering for him
Paula.
and shouting out for him. Paula, shout out to Paula. So yeah, he was great. And I would swipe right. He's actually a College of Staten Island alum.
Yes.
So he is, like us, born and raised Staten Island. So that's another reason to swipe right. We probably know a lot of mutuals and could talk about that for days.
Talk trash.
So talk trash. So yeah, we'll swipe right on Vinny.
All right, we swipe right.
All right.
All right, we have a few more.
All right.
Muscles, hair gel, and moves for days. Smooth talker, or I try to be. Elvis impersonator and looking for my mama.
Oh no.
We have Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo. That is not who I thought you were going to bring up.
Who did you think it was going to be?
I had no idea. Maybe Austin Butler. But I was not thinking Johnny Bravo.
Butler, yeah, that would
because you said Elvis impersonation, and so I was like, oh, maybe it's Austin Butler.
Yeah.
He would have been a swipe right for sure. Okay. Johnny Bravo, though. You know what? I'm gonna swipe left because from what I remember from the show, he was just very arrogant, very all about himself and his looks, and
you could tell that from a person's profile.
100%. 100%. Usually, I'm not here to judge everyone, not judging a book by the cover.
Not judge.
But I would say 9.5 out of 10 times if a guy sets up a dating profile and he looks like Johnny Bravo or any other kind of, muscled up, hot, slick back kind of guy, chances are he's a dick. So we're going to swipe left on Johnny. I'm going to sip.
I slipped, but I'll sip again.
Sip again. We're going to sip this whole show.
All right. Vegan dog dad. Ooh. A bit of a scaredy cat looking for a snack-loving partner who doesn't mind the supernatural. Anna.
Vegan dog dad.
Can you guess who this is?
I'm trying to think who the supernatural. I'm trying to think of what, like, ghost TV shows or a movie. I don't know. Show me.
We have Shaggy.
Oh, Shaggy.
I mean this in the best way possible. I feel like this is your type.
I forgot was he vegan or vegetarian? He was one of those. Maybe he was vegan. Who knows? Yeah, we'd probably go with Shaggy.
Yeah.
I would say both the cartoon version and the guy who played him in the live action movies. What was his name? Matt Lillard? Something like that. I would swipe right on both of them. He is my type. I'm usually into the scruffy.
Yes.
Hobo-ish look. Not that John looks like that.
Yes, we're not talking about
comparing.
John. No.
We're not comparing.
No.
Just FYI.
All right. Green Day frontman with a knack for punk rock political anthems. Pro mascara. And looking for someone who won't wake me up in September.
Ooh.
We have Billy Joe Armstrong.
I would swipe right.
I knew you would.
Yeah, he's my type too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I very much had a punk rock era. I'm still kind of in my punk rock era music-wise, but back in high school was definitely, like, me and him would have been friends if we went to high school at the same time.
All right.
Swipe right.
All right, next we have a drummer, wild child, and a lover of chaos. If you're ready for adventure, don't mind the loud noises, swipe right. We have...
Oh, no.
Animal from The Muppets.
Oh, no. Animal. No, I'm going to swipe left. I feel like he would annoy me really quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
If you know me, I don't like loud noises a lot. So.
True.
And he doesn't speak in full sentences. That would annoy me.
I forgot about that. I mean, that's most men, isn't it?
I mean, it's true. It's true. But I feel like him especially would be just a project to get to change that.
You know I love projects. You know I do.
Maybe he's your type then. He might be more your type. Oh, that is funny.
We have two more.
All right.
Painter of happy trees, clouds, and occasional cabin, seeking someone to share quiet moments, a palette, and peaceful outlook.
I know who this
We
is.
have Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
Come on, you can't swipe left on Bob
No,
Ross.
I can't. He's just such a nice, happy.
Yeah.
He was a nice, happy person. Rest in
yes.
peace. So
We'll cheers to him.
We'll
though.
cheers. We'll cheers to Bob Ross.
Yes. For those who don't know, I love to paint.
Nikki is an artiste.
I do have a little side hustle. I paint sneakers, Air Force Ones, so love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely watched some Bob Ross.
Yeah. And think of all the nice artwork you'd have in your house if you were
Yes.
with Bob Ross.
Yeah.
The decor. Love
Very
it.
peaceful, tranquil.
Yes.
All right.
Last one.
This one.
Did you save the best for last?
I did.
Oh.
You're going to love it.
Okay.
Founder of Barstool Sports and professional pizza critic. If you got a favorite slice, I want to hear about it. But it better not be a deep dish. We have Dave Portnoy.
Oh, goodness. Dave Portnoy.
He could get it.
He's a swipe right.
He
He's a swipe
could
right.
get it.
I know he's very controversial, but he's a swipe right. Listen, he says it how it is. He's a smart man.
Very
he's a
smart.
good businessman. He's funny. I mean, I see lots of pros. There are some cons. I'm not going to say there aren't, but I see pros. I would swipe right.
Yeah. I would swipe right too. And that ends our session for Swipe or Sip with our Swipe Right Spritz.
And we got through
we did.
a good amount of spritz. Cheers to that.
Yeah, you did good, Anna.
Thank you. That was a good game.
You know what you want.
You picked good choices. You know me. You know what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah. So speaking of Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, we're going to get into our pop culture
Zach
segment
Bryan.
of the week. I'm just remembering two people that on there that have to do with our topic of the week. And if you are following anything on social media, that is the Zach Bryan and Brianna LaPaglia, aka Brianna Chickenfry, breakup scandal. And so if you aren't aware of these people, if you don't know what's going on, what's happening in the zeitgeist right now, Brianna Chickenfry, she is an influencer. She is on a few podcasts with Barstool Sports. She's on one with Dave and Josh Richards called BFFs. She's on another one called Plan Brie with her best friend Grace. And she and big country music star Zach Bryan were in a relationship for about a year now, and they recently broke up. And it was kind of a mess because Zach just kind of threw it up on his Instagram story one day that the two of them broke up, and Brianna shortly came out with the video afterwards sharing that, she wasn't really expecting the breakup to be announced so soon, kind of blindsided her. And so people have been sat for a minute trying to get her side of the story. But
he made it clear he was ready. He was out. He was on Raya.
Yep, he was done. Speaking of dating apps, he was ready to get back out there, get on a dating app. People saw his profile and were sending it to Brianna, and that's why he kind of threw up the Instagram story, I think, so abruptly, was because he got caught. And it was like, what else was he going to do? He had to explain himself. So, so folks have been waiting for Brianna's side of the story. We finally got it the other day on the BFFs pod.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. You didn't?
I saw clips on TikTok. I just feel like I would be triggered by that. I think that we've all been in that situation where you've dated somebody and you've loved them, and then they just treat you and act like you're nothing and move on so quickly. So I've seen some TikTok clips, but I don't think I feel for her.
Yeah, no. And you don't really have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to. I would say the biggest takeaway is that Zach Bryan and his team offered Brianna $12 million to sign an NDA and stay quiet about everything that happened in their relationship. And she said on the podcast that she, waited out. She, was actually kind of ready to take it. But his team essentially delayed sending her the paperwork for it and whatnot. And so I think it was like 3 days they waited to get her everything that they needed for her to sign. And in that time, she ultimately decided, you know what, I don't need this money. If I get this money from him, it's going to just it's still going to control me in a sense. Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy a house with this money, and it's going to be his money. And every time I sit in my house, I'm going to think about that, which I truthfully don't blame her for.
I take the money. I would take the money and run.
It's hard because that is life-changing money. And she said herself that she doesn't come from a lot of money. Her parents were telling her to take the money. There's a lot you could do with $12 million. So while, it's an interesting decision to make, I kind of understand what she's coming from. I think, just the thought of being controlled by a man like that is really scary, and it's really disheartening in a sense. So I don't blame her for not taking it. She makes a decent living on Barstool, and I don't think she makes, the same amount as, say, some other podcasters or whatnot, but I'm sure she makes a decent enough living that she can afford to, live her life and live it freely on her own terms.
But I do think it shows of just how much of a boss that she is, that she declined that offer.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a tough decision. And even she was talking through it with Dave and her other co-host, Josh, and they both told her at first, maybe you should take it. They weren't sure themselves how to advise her on that. And so, I think ultimately it was her decision to say, no, I just don't want to have that money knowing it came from him, and, be reminded of all the emotional abuse and the trauma he put her through. So, yeah, I mean, good on her. I think it's really tough to be in a position where you're, trying to end things on decent terms with somebody, but at the same time, he didn't seem like he really cared enough to end things on decent terms with her. It sounded like, from what I gathered from the podcast, that she was trying to sit down and have a conversation with him and say, like, can we just talk about this, have a talk, have some closure? And he just really wasn't about it. He was just like, done. He broke up with her over text. They didn't even, they weren't in person together when it was kind of officially done. So, I understand her thinking of not wanting to be attached to him in any way, shape, or form, let alone through money like that. But, I'm curious what your take is on a lot of this. And, you've been a fan of Zach Bryan's music for, since he's kind of been out there, as have a lot of 20-something-year-old women. I mean, did you ever see him? When you looked at Zach Bryan, would you think he's someone that could be like that?
No,
as emotionally abusive as she described him?
And I think that's the scary part, is that, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what's going on behind closed doors. I mean, he looked like he was super in love with her, which, I mean, no, we don't, obviously he maybe was. But I think that if you can just do that to somebody, it's, as I said before, it's triggering, because it's definitely happened to all of us. So yeah, I mean, I definitely lost respect for him. I wouldn't go to his concert. I wouldn't run there, but there are two sides to every story, and we don't know. But I think I definitely lost a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of love bombing going on. I mean, she said that. So the whole relationship essentially started with, I think it was like an Instagram comment on, maybe Brianna's post or a DM or something like that. So essentially, they started talking through Instagram, and he, after a few days, invited her to go on a 3-day road trip with him. And she decided to do it. Why not? I mean, when you're young and you have a job as flexible as that, where you can just go ahead and pick up and leave and, go travel around with somebody. Why not? It sounds exciting. It sounds like a dream come true, honestly. But yeah, it was like after that 3 days, they were just instantly together. She said that he had gotten a tattoo of her name on him after that 3-day trip. So it was a lot of instant love bombing, and just, from the get-go, him telling her all of these things to make her think, we're going to get married, we're going to have kids. He bought her a house in Massachusetts by her family. He told her this is where we're going to raise our children, or, they had conversations like that. I don't know if word for word that's what he said, but, from what she was saying on the episode the other day, it sounded like, he really convinced her that they were going to have this amazing, beautiful life together. She dropped a lot to be with him, to be on tour with him. And then when she started her podcast tour, that just kind of wasn't reciprocated. He just couldn't be bothered. And yeah, I mean, it just seems like after a few days even of being apart, he was just like done. He just couldn't do it anymore. And so it is really crazy to have someone you think you know turn on you like that so quickly. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame because, you know, like you said, we've all been in that position where we're with somebody and we really are into them and we really see a future with them, and it can really quickly be taken away. But, you know, at the end of the day, again, think she did the right thing. Can we talk about the diss track for a second? We cannot.
It's stuck in my head.
It's literally stuck in my head, too.
It's stuck in my head. I like, if my friends did that for me, like,
it's
post
amazing.
Breakup, like, oh my God.
It's amazing. So for those of you, if you don't know, I'm sure you have to have heard it by now on TikTok everywhere. But Dave Portnoy.
But he paid no, he didn't pay. He was able to get it taken down by his team.
He was able to get it taken down. So Josh Richards and Dave Portnoy put together a diss track about Zach Bryan called Smallest Man. Dave Portnoy is a big Taylor Swift fan, so it's kind of an ode to her song Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. And they just really, sorry to say, ripped this guy apart in this diss track, but it's so good. It's so catchy.
It really is. It's great.
And it went up the night of the election. And then it's just been getting taken down constantly ever since then. And people were saying it's because at the end when he's like, how lucky is Bree to be free of ZB and da-da-da-da. Like, it's copyright because it's like in the same tune as Zach's song. What is it, 28, something like that. And so that's, people are speculating that's why it keeps getting taken down for copyright. But I thought I heard that they removed that part of the song because it's at the very end. It's easy to just cut out. So they were able to put it back up. I mean, I was just listening to it, I think on Thursday or even yesterday.
Oh, so you listen.
I listened to the whole thing.
You like
multiple
it.
times. I do. It's great.
Okay.
And then this morning I was trying to put it on again and it's gone. It's gone from Spotify. I don't know. I haven't looked if it's back on YouTube or anything like that. So
no, it was good. I mean,
it was good. It was catchy.
What do you think about the disease?
I mean, nothing would surprise me with this guy at this point. I feel like when because he's very new to the country music scene and just the scene in general. You know, he hasn't been this major star for years now. People just started listening to him maybe a year and a half ago. So I feel like when you go from, you know, this singer-songwriter that nobody really knows, you're trying to make a name for yourself, and then that happens and you reach this level of stardom that he reached, and you know, you've got all of these young women coming to your shows, selling out your shows, you know, listening to your music all the time, just like pining for you. And you know, they said some pretty terrible things about Brianna in the time that they were dating because, you know, I think a lot of it stemmed from they wanted to be in her shoes and they wanted to be with him and they found him attractive and they loved his music and all these things. And so, you know, I think when you get to that point of stardom, you do get this very big head and you feel like you're invincible. You feel like you can do anything you want and you feel like you can especially get any girl you want. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he was running around here, you know, with however many women, whether it was while he was with Brianna or not, who knows? I mean, we don't know. She did not mention anything about any cheating or anything in the relationship. I will make that clear. But
the song does mention a disease was given.
STDs and all of that.
Yes.
And it's like you have to kind of put two and two together that this guy was dirty.
He was dirty.
He was dirty. And he's as fake as my tan. I'll say that right now. I'll say that right now.
Yes. No, we don't like that.
No. And you know, again, this is one country rock star, but there are plenty of guys like this out there in the world that will do this to a woman. And it's, you know, again, it's a shame. It's a shame. And I feel like it really discourages people from getting out there, getting on dating apps, going on dates with people, getting to know people. I think there's just always that fear when you're looking for a relationship of what could actually happen after you get to that point of being in a relationship. Like, yeah, okay, great. You met this person, you're happy, you're going on dates, he's meeting the parents, he's meeting the friends, all of this stuff. But I feel like a lot of people still can have that thought in the back of their head of like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? What if he does something to me? What if, you know, he's not the person I thought he was? I'm going to be crushed, all these things. And I think it's driven a lot in part, yeah, because guys on a day-to-day basis are doing this kind of stuff, but especially guys like this who, you know, he could have easily at any point ended it with her in a nice, mature way, sat her down, said, it's not working out, I'm sorry, we tried it, there's no resolution here, we got to go our separate ways. But no, instead you built up this girl's hopes. You abruptly ended the relationship. She said that she got back with him at a certain... She broke up with him, I think, around this time last year, and then he was begging for her to come back, and she went back to him. And it's like, he clearly has some way of being able to speak to women and control women that she would, you know, she could do something like that. And, you know, no fault of her own. It's totally understandable, again, when you really love somebody, that you will do whatever you can to make it work with them. And, you know, I think you reach a certain point where you just can't try anymore. And she, unfortunately, it seems like he had to really put her through such a terrible breakup for her to really be like, no, that's it. Like, it's got to be done. I can't take this money. I got to walk away from this. I got to be done with him fully. And I respect it. Yeah. Much respect. Crazy. It's like this is like the topic of the week that everybody's talking about, is this whole breakup thing. And
I think because these celebrities, or anybody for that matter, you see a lot of couples, even at our level, posting that they're in these happy relationships, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and it's very crazy. You just don't know.
You don't. And that's why I say never believe what you see on social media.
That's right.
I am a big believer in it. If people are posting every single day about their relationship and how good it is and how in love they are, something's wrong. Not necessarily true for every single relationship out there. There are people who are extremely happy and they do want to show the world that. But to me, if you're 9 out of 10 times, if you're posting about it so much and you're talking about it so much and everything just seems perfect all the time, you're hiding something. And you know, it's a lot of the time it's a lot of the time out of fear that you're hiding something, because you don't want people to know that this person is doing such terrible things to you. You don't want to seem like you're letting this slide and you're letting this happen, and it's okay, and you don't want to be judged for it, and it turns into an insecurity. So, you know, I understand that people find themselves in these situations and it's very hard to get themselves out of it. So yeah, I mean, and again, you know, I remember probably around this time last year, you and I were talking about this relationship and how they went on that road trip and how they seemed so in love afterwards. And oh my God, like,
I was so jealous.
It's true. But again, that's the image that they portrayed, is this, we're perfect, we fell in love, like this was a modern day love story, like you could make a movie out of this stuff. And to be here a year later and to know a lot of shit happened in that year that no one would have ever guessed, is just, it just goes to show you don't know what's happening behind closed doors, you know. And you just have to be careful if you're someone that is single and dating and you're getting to know people, you know, as you said, you can't really get to know somebody so quickly. And people do show their true colors at some point. Sometimes it's a month from when you meet them. Sometimes it's a year from when you meet them. But you just have to be careful. You just have to keep an eye out for the red flags, keep an eye out for the warning signs, and, you know, use your better judgment. It's hard. It's definitely, you know, easy to find yourself just so enamored with someone that you look past all of that. But you just have to be mindful of those things.
See, me, I always have to be 10 steps ahead. 10
Yeah.
steps ahead, always.
Yeah.
So that's another thing with these dating apps. There's a little thing that I do, which I'm sure every girl does. You have to do this. So
You have to. This day
you
and
get
age.
the phone number, right? You get their name. They will never give you their last name.
No.
And what am I supposed to say? Hey, what's your last name? No. So they give you the phone number. You reverse search that shit. You pull up their last name and you search them in Google. 9 times out of 10, they have an arrest record.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And I don't know if this is, not to cut you off, I don't know if this is just a New York, New Jersey, tri-state area kind of thing. If you've done this before and you've seen a guy's arrest record come up, drop it in the comments. You don't have to give details. Just like give us a wink or like a thumbs up or some kind of emoji code to know that it's not just us dealing with this craziness.
Yeah, the arrest record always comes up. That's, yeah, like recently I searched somebody and he was arrested when he was 19. So like, okay, I was like, all right, let's dive a little deeper. Arrested for burglary in residential. So
Yikes.
I could see if you're like at a deli, you're gonna steal some cigs, maybe like maybe a pack of gum, bag of chips.
Sure.
But residential, what does that mean?
This man's robbed houses. That's what it means.
Like, the man is 30 now. $50,000 bond, so he's in debt for sure.
Yikes. Oh, definitely.
This is not somebody I want to fuck with.
No. And this is not somebody, I don't know. I was going to say this is not somebody who should be on a dating app, but
They all are.
don't want to tell people what to do with their lives. You know, everyone's looking for love, sure, but
If you're a criminal or past criminal, we listen. Or you know what? Maybe
just be honest from the start. I'm not going to say like that's going to work
not
for
from
everybody.
because like I will be scared.
Yeah.
But it's just red flags. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't invite this person to my house.
Right.
These are just things you have to be 10 steps ahead.
No, 100%. 100%.
Another recent, this is all, I mean, we're recently back into the dating. I took some
Yes.
time off.
Now we're back.
We're back. I feel like I really needed to build my confidence again, get back into the gym. Anna and I have been doing some races, so we're runners.
We're on
now.
a running journey.
We are
We're
runners.
running a 5K next Saturday.
Signed up for a half marathon in April.
Yep, we're doing it.
We are doing it. So I'm like, let me jump back in. And immediately, instant regret. But there was a hottie that was talking to me. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to ruin my life. Immediately get the phone number, reverse search that shit. It says he's a cop. Okay. Listen, I respect cops.
Yeah.
Love cops.
Yeah.
But some are cheaters.
Sure. There's a stats
lot
out
of-
there
yeah.
that a certain percentage of cops are
But
cheaters.
I love cops. They respect them.
Yeah,
we love
listen,
them.
we need them.
We need
in
them.
society. We can't function without them.
But so I'm like, okay. But he tells me he's a project manager. What projects are you managing, sir? So at this point, I'm like, all right, when we get to the date, he's going to tell me he's a cop. Maybe he's doing 2 jobs. We got a pension. We got project manager. We're in there. We get on the date. I'm like, so there's videos online of this man talking about how since he was a kid, he wanted to be a cop,
Right.
and his dad was a cop. And there's articles about how he saved a baby, like much respect to this man. And then we get to the date and I'm like, so how long have you wanted to be a project manager for? He goes, well, I really just fell into it. This is my uncle's business and I help him out.
Stories.
No mention of being a cop.
No.
So either A, he's still a cop. Maybe he has a girlfriend, doesn't want me.
Right.
Or B, he had to turn in his badge. Or C, I was banking on C. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
But I'm saying maybe there's some trauma. Maybe he had to walk away. But I gave him, we were together for maybe 2.5, 3 hours the whole time. I even gave like I opened it for him to say, actually, I was a cop at one point. Never mentioned it.
No.
So that was a red flag. The red flag was thrown onto the field, and I refused to go any further with this man. Gorgeous, tall, taller than me. I'm 5'9". This guy had to be about 6'3", 6'4". But, you know, as my mother says, I look at looks.
Which is understandable.
I get blinded by the beauty.
But here's the thing is when you're on a dating app, that's the first thing you see is someone's picture. You don't swipe and then you see, you know, this guy's thoughts on marriage or kids or anything like. The first thing you see is their picture. So you're gonna immediately think to yourself, am I attracted to this? Is this my type of guy? You know, like, is this who I normally go for or whatever? And then you'll look and see what their details are, what their profile's like. So, you know, as much as Netflix wants to say love is blind, I don't
It's not.
believe love is blind.
It's not. Because if you open up that curtain and Shrek is standing there, I'm going to walk away. I am not getting engaged to Shrek.
Not Shrek.
Yeah, no, I can't. So, no, love is not blind. There has to be an attraction. Yeah. And I think I see now that the people that are the viewers are putting blankets over their TV to watch Love is Blind.
No, that's too much work.
To really get themselves in there. But I just feel like, you know, you have this image of based on what their voice sounds and, you know, how they look. And then when that curtain is pulled back, it's like...
Yeah. If Netflix called you up tomorrow and said, we're looking at you for Love is Blind, would you go, though?
I would go.
Yeah, why not?
I would go. Of course I would go. Love Island, I have never watched it. I don't want to feed into any body dysmorphia, so I cannot watch that.
True.
So I would never be able to go on Love Island.
No.
But Love is Blind, I would do. Maybe The Bachelor, I would.
Yeah. Bachelor's also good.
Yeah.
There are some good dating shows on there. I mean,
but
they're
it's
not
also
all crazy.
like modernized. Like, I mean, there's one man to all of these women.
Right. That's what I don't like about The Bachelor. Is it's kind of. I mean, this is what the show is. The show's been on for 20-something years, and like they're not going to change it at this point. But it's a little crazy to make 30 women compete with each other for one man when it's, you know, you don't even know if you're really going to vibe with the guy. I mean, even like most recent seasons, I haven't watched The Bachelor in a few years now, but I forgot I think it was Clayton's season. This was a few years ago where there was that one
was
girl
the last season I watched.
From the beginning who was like, maybe it was like the first or second episode. She was like, I'm not really feeling this. I'm not really vibing with him. I think I'm going to go. And she literally got up and left. And
that's an honest woman. An honest
That's an
woman.
honest
You
woman.
cannot force something.
No.
And again, even if they're hot, he is hot. He is fine. You cannot force something.
No. If the personality is not there, if the connection's not there, whatever it is, it's true. You cannot force something. You know, I do like the concept of Love is Blind because you do get to know that person
deeply
for, I think they're in those pods for like 10 days before they actually get engaged and meet up in person. So, you know, it does offer a lot of time. And that's what they say about all of these reality dating shows is that like you have all this time to get to know somebody and, you know, talk about things like marriage and kids and what you want out of life and all of that. And, you know, we've seen for some people it works. For some people it doesn't. I mean, we just ended season 7, I think it was. And we had a couples come out of that married and happy and living their lives. And so it does work for some people. But, you know, it does physical attraction is a huge part of it. So,
I agree.
Well, I think that is a perfect
This was a
time
great
to
first
end our
episode.
Yeah.
This is great. I had a lot of fun.
I did too. I think we had some good conversation here. Great cocktail. Thank you for whipping up this recipe for us.
Yes. So each cocktail, guys, is going to go with what we are talking about.
Yes. They are going to be themed each week.
Yes.
Nikki is going to be coming up with a fresh new recipe for us every week. We are going to be testing things out on the show. We're going to be making martinis, spritzes, all kinds of things. So if you're a cocktail lover, you know, feel free to join us in making our drink of the week. as mentioned, they will be on the screen during these videos. We are also going to have them on our Instagram and TikTok as well. Everything is at the Sip and Spill Pod. So that's the letter N in between Sip and Spill.
N as in Nikki.
N as in Nikki, our bartender every week. Yes. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to us just gab on this Saturday afternoon. If you are listening to audio only, again, you can find us where you get your podcast. That's Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, etc. Find us on YouTube if you want to see us chit-chatting at the kitchen table. And be sure to come back next week for our next episode.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yay!